Have you ever opened a hive and seen something that worried you? Even though the last time you were in the colony, you did everything right. The reason it matters to know that, which I'm sure you feel it and you're familiar with it, it's frustrating to go in with a plan, it not come out the way you thought, and so then you change things up, not understanding all the variables that are involved. And then you may not even realize until much later that you were responding to something that had already happened much earlier. What am I talking about? Well, by the end of this video, you'll be able to tell the difference between what you see in your colony, what it's doing now, and what it's still expressing from weeks ago. And that's why today we're going back to the future. Because you're not seeing today's colony. You're seeing last month's environmental influences. Stick around. Hey beekeepers, welcome back to the Hive Doctor. As you can tell, it's still winter around here, so we still can't poke our noses in the hive. But despite the weather, you can see the bees are coming out, taking their cleansing flights. But I do look so much forward to getting into these colonies, probably maybe late this month, February, but definitely by March. So what do I mean when I'm saying that when you get into a colony, you're seeing what's being expressed from weeks ago, the environmental influences that have already happened? Well, here's how this usually unfolds. You get into a colony, you do your inspection, and generally, most of the time, it's fairly safe to say we notice something that's off. Not quite as ideal as we would like to see circumstances like as much brood or food as we want. So you assume that that is a current problem. And so next, what do? You react. So you adjust the space inside maybe you start feeding them, even consider requeening, you treat, you intervene. And then the next inspection after that feels even more confusing because you don't really see what the results you thought you would by that last intervention. And now you're not even sure if the colony's getting better or if they're getting worse or just kind of staying the same. And stop trusting what we're seeing altogether because it's just too confusing. So we just continue doing what we hear from others, what we read in the books, because it's all we know. And the problem isn't that you missed anything during the inspection. It's that colonies don't express themselves in the current moment. What they're expressing is history, what's already long gone. So what you're seeing in your colony during an inspection is often the biological echo of environmental conditions weeks ago. Whether it was forage timing, forage availability, lack of being able to get to it because of weather conditions, population momentum or decline, stress accumulation, you name it, those things happened weeks ago and the colony had made adjustments then, and that's what you're seeing now. And once you do see it, it explains why colonies suddenly swarm. Brood patterns randomly start going to heck. Or mite treatments seem to work, and then they don't, and then you don't know what's going on. It's not randomness. And it's not a bunch of question marks. It's simply a delayed expression from past circumstances. Doesn't mean you're a bad beekeeper and that you don't know what you're doing. Doesn't mean you're behind. And it definitely doesn't mean you're failing. Though at times, believe me, I'm sure that it feels like it. It means that you're responding to signals without knowing when they're being generated. Most beekeepers are taught to read a colony like you read the dashboard of your vehicle. Just a bunch of numbers. It tells you what speed you're going, oil pressure, and even these days people don't know how to read oil pressure because our vehicles don't really do that. They got to be pretty old like the Beak Jeep over here. And even that gauge doesn't work. But colonies aren't dashboards. They're slow-moving, delayed biological systems. And if you don't know how to read them, or you don't learn to, then no matter how good you get as a beekeeper, it will never be as good as you want it to be. Or could be. And then by the time something's visible or obvious to you, the decision that caused that has already been made. So here's something you can do. The next time you open up a hive and you go to fix something, Don't ask yourself, what do I do right now? Instead, ask this: what conditions previous to this likely led to these circumstances? In other words, why is the colony expressing itself in this manner? What influences from the environment led them to this point? That one question has the ability to shake you out of reaction mode and into orientation mode so that you know where you are in time. You stop trying to correct the present and start understanding the past path that led to this point. If you start noticing this time lag with honeybees, you'll begin to see it everywhere during every inspection, and you'll become so much more keenly aware of environmental influences, and it's going to totally change your game in beekeeping. You're going to see it in brood patterns, you're going to understand why the patterns are there, population pressure, queen behavior, and how colonies respond differently from one another, even in the same yard just 2 feet away from one another. This week, or whenever you can, try to think of your inspections like this: time machines that take you back to the past so that you understand what happened then to know how things led up to the present now. And not just that, but in understanding that influence, your present hive inspections and understanding environmental influences at the moment will help project what you think or where you believe and where you can see your colony going into the future. You'll be able to see their trajectory in the bigger picture, and it's going to change up your beekeeping experience like nothing else has. Thank you guys for going back to the future with me today with my bees, and I hope you find a more exploratory and explanatory path with your own bees. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Dr. Bell.